Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is the place where we help mission-driven messengers just like you learn how to build and monetize your personal brand. My name is Rory Vaden, and I'm the co-founder of Brand Builders Group, a Hall of Fame speaker, and New York Times bestselling author. And this show is to help experts learn how to become more wealthy and well-known. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Let's get started.
It's what, not who. In a world where marketing strategists and marketing agencies are talking about where to spend on time online and where do you put your paid traffic behind and what ads should you be doing and, how quickly you should be cutting your camera and how many minutes it should be and what are the initial statements that you should say and how many CTA should you have. In a world full of that, that's a lot of the what. What I am encouraging you to do as you build your personal brand is to have a who first strategy, not a where first strategy and not a what first strategy. See, a what first strategy is what should I be doing? What should I be posting? What, different medium should I be on? What platform should I be on? It's a what focused strategy. And then there's the where, right? There's, hey, where should I spend my time online? Where should I invest my time, money, and resources, right? Where should I go to find, X, Y, and Z content or audiences or offers? Where should I go to learn? There's a lot of what, and there's a lot of where in the world of marketing, digital marketing today. And as you build your personal brand, what I'm encouraging you to do is to not ignore those things. They just come second or third to the most important strategy, which is who. So let's talk about the who for a second. What is a who first strategy? A who first strategy is who are you trying to reach? Who is the person that you feel called to serve in this world with your message? Because that's what you're doing this for after all, right? You're not doing all of this content creation. You're not sitting in a chair behind a camera on a day like today as I am right now, just so I can work the algorithm. I'm not doing it just to get likes and comments. I'm not doing it just for conversion purposes. I'm doing it because I believe that there are messages that need to be shared because there are messages that need to be heard and they can only be shared by certain individuals and they can only be heard by certain individuals to help them change their life. I believe that people, not platforms, have the ability to change lives. And sometimes it's a simple act of kindness. Sometimes it's a quote that you just needed to hear in that right moment. Sometimes it's you showing up and being vulnerable and sharing the hard parts of your story so that other people know that they're not alone, that there are other people like them who have felt that way, been through what they've been through, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? There is joy on the other side. That is a who first strategy. That is going, hey, I have this calling on my heart for a reason. And we believe that that reason is because there is someone else out there who needs you. That is the who that I'm talking about. And if you get the who right and a who first strategy, the what and the where become increasingly more clear. Because here's what I'm telling you. If you know exactly who you're trying to reach, then you know what they need to hear. You know what questions they need answered. You know what titles would attract them. You know what ads they would click on, right? So all those other things, I'm not saying they're not important in the digital ecosystem that we live in today. I think they're vital. I think they're necessary. They're just not first. It's a who strategy first to go, who needs this message? And how do they need to hear it? And what platform do they need to hear it on? And where do I need to be so they can hear it? What and where are subservient to the who. But the more clear that you get on the who, such as what gender are they? What age are they? What socioeconomic status are they? What geography do they live in? What are their dreams? What are their fears? What are their goals? What questions keep them up at night? What are their fears? What are their limiting beliefs? right? What are they trying to achieve? What have they been through that they're too afraid to tell anyone? What are the dreams that feel so big and so impossible that they're embarrassed to admit them? What questions do they have that they never ask because they're afraid they'll look stupid, right? That is your who. It's not just how much money do they make and what titles do they have. Demographics are important, they're necessary. But the psychographics of your who are equally as important. And I'll tell you this, a who first strategy should be where you spend the most time. Because if you spend the most foundational time on building out this perfect avatar, this ideal person, not persons, not people, but person, if you build that out, if there's one, there's likely more than one. But the more that you know the heart and the mind behind the person, the who that you're going after, everything else comes into focus. The other things are unclear when your who is unclear. But the more clarity you have on the who, the easier it is to answer all of the what questions and the where questions, because you know where they spend on time online. You know what platforms they visit. You know how often they visit those platforms and how long they stay on their platforms. That you know if they like to read versus watch. You know if they like to watch versus listen. You know if they're more into podcasts versus short form content. You know all those things when you spend the time necessary to get intimately acquainted with the who. And here's the good news for you. Most of us, we already know the who intimately because the who is the person that we used to be. And it's the reason why that you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were, because you know what it's like to be you. You know what it's like to have those questions, those fears, those dreams. And you know what it's like on the other side, right? You didn't get to where you are today, and you don't have this calling on your life, and you don't have this message in your heart for yourself. You have it so that you can go back and share it with all the people that need to hear it where they are today, where you were a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years or even 20 years ago, or maybe even the person that you were yesterday. You have that calling, right? That pull on your heart because there is someone else who is calling to you. That is a who first strategy. And it's the part that we often want to skip over. We want to answer the fill in the blanks and we want to move on. But everything else is dependent on a who first strategy. So if you spend the right time figuring out who is my audience, who is my avatar, who is my person, the what comes into focus and the where becomes obvious. But the who has to come first.